It was a crisp spring morning in New Mexico's White Sands Proving Grounds. Major William Cunningham surveyed the vast expanse, squinting under the bright April sun. He and his partner, Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovette, climbed into a battered Jeep to begin another routine day, combing the desert for missile debris scattered by recent tests. Cunningham could scarcely have imagined, as the Jeep sputtered across the parched terrain, that only one of them would return by day's end, that a colleague's blood-curdling scream would rupture the desert calm, that he would watch, horrified, as Lovette vanished without explanation, only to resurface days later bearing pathological enigmas beyond reason's grasp. Welcome to Snatched, Cosmic Encounters. I'm your host, Johnny Lama. Today, we're investigating one of the most puzzling, unexplained vanishings of the past century, the 1956 case of Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovette. His shocking disappearance and ghastly fate have evaded understanding for over 6 decades. Our story begins at New Mexico's desolate White Sands Proving Grounds. Major William Cunningham bore witness as his colleague was dragged screaming into the sky by an unearthly silver craft. In the days that followed, Lovette's mutilated body surfaced deep in the desert, drained of blood with surgical precision. Military reports remain classified, with officials neither confirming nor denying the extraordinary events alleged by the distraught Major Cunningham. But mysteries endure around what transpired that April day. Mysteries suggesting we may not be alone in this universe. So join me as we unravel the enigma of Sergeant Lovette's aberrant vanishing and the secrets that may yet lurk in the desert. The arrival of spring had brought clear skies, allowing for better visibility of missile tests. It was Major Cunningham and Sergeant Lovette's job to comb the desert for fallen debris after each launch. The morning of April 18th was unremarkable as the pair drove into the silent expanse, nothing but sagebrush and sand in sight. Lovette smoked pensively while the major steered towards coordinates of recent rocket debris sightings. After miles of arid emptiness, they came across scattered metal fragments glinting in the sun. The two men exited the Jeep and separated to cover more ground, routines well worn. Cunningham later reported the mundane work suddenly shattered by a visceral scream that rang out across the desert. He described spinning around to face the source, Sergeant Lovette sprinting in terror, pursued by a long serpentine arm undulating from the clear blue sky. Cunningham stood paralyzed as his partner was ensnared, pulled pleading towards the belly of an enormous silver disc hovering soundlessly above the sand. With another anguished scream, Lovette disappeared into the smooth underside of the craft. Cunningham recounted watching in horror as the metallic limb retracted, the disc tilting slightly as if observing him before shooting upwards and vanishing in the span of seconds. No sonic boom followed, only silence. Major Cunningham began scrambling to gather his senses, his Jeep speeding in shock delirium towards the base. His questions resonate decades later of what truly transpired in that vast and lonesome expanse, and where the inexplicable visitor had come from. In the hours following the unfathomable events, the White Sands base descended into frenzied disarray. Alarms raised, security teams swarmed the desert, plumbing its harsh terrain for any trace of Lovette. Adrenaline and dread electrified the air. Major Cunningham had been extracted back to base, visibly shaken and babbling incoherently about otherworldly airships. He was sedated under close observation while specialty squadrons combed a 10-mile radius from the sighting. 48 hours of exhaustive searches elicited no clues, only deepening the mystery gripping the isolated base. Then, on the morning of April 20th, a lieutenant spotted vultures circling ominously in the distance. He followed the grim beacons to uncover a ghoulish sight. They circled none other than Sergeant Jonathan Lovette, or rather, what remained of him. His nude body laid face down in the dirt, 10 miles southwest of his disappearance. From a distance, he appeared intact, but closer examination elicited gasps of horror and shock. Lovette had been precisely dissected and hollowed out with clinical accuracy no earthly tools could account for. His bloodless corpse and mutilated organs spawned dark whispers. Talk spread of beasts from above come to collect human specimens, though official silence on the inexplicable events persisted for decades. Questions rooted deeper. What were they searching for in Lovette's flesh? And would they return for more unwitting subjects? A shadow fell over the White Sands labs. Techs doubled security patrols under the desert's endless night skies. All the while, Major Cunningham rocked in cold hospital sheets, the image of Lovette's final scream etched behind unblinking eyes. The truth of it all had broken him, perhaps forever lost to forces unknown. In the vacuum of suppressed information, theories festered amongst personnel who caught whispers of the shocking affair. Had the deranged major finally snapped from the pressures of isolation and secrecy? Some posited Cunningham himself had committed the heinous mutilations in a psychotic break, despite no records of mental illness or violent tendencies. Still, what other earthly explanation could account for the chillingly precise dissection, if not a military man? Others opined the harsh landscape alone could have claimed Lovette, with scavengers drawn to his remains accounting for missing organs. But local fauna had none capable of such careful extraction while leaving vascular structures intact. Talk turned to the more unnatural. New Mexico was no stranger to tales of UFOs and paranormal phenomena. Could Lovette's corpse reflect the handiwork of an extraterrestrial collector? Cattle mutilations with similar surgical calling cards had been reported for years in the rural Southwest. Curious infections of occultism had also spread through the 20th century. Secretive satanic cults were rumored to haunt the remote countryside, carrying out shocking rituals under moonlight. But no cases of human mutilation had ever been substantiated. In the decades since the abduction, FBI investigations listed the Lovette case as officially unsolved with scant lasting record. In 1994, his name surfaced in a Project Grudge report file, pointedly marked as a lone entry still deemed too sensitive to declassify. What secrets could be so disturbing as to keep locked up 60 years later? Or was there a tragic lack of any evidence at all? Major Cunningham himself faded from history shortly thereafter. Whispers tell of a broken man committed to long-term psychiatric care, refusing to recant his fantastic account till his dying days. Indeed, Cunningham's hell may have followed him beyond this mortal plane into the realm of eternal unknowns. What are we to make of the chilling fate that befell Jonathan P. Lovette? Why would advanced extraterrestrial visitors travel light years only to dissect a lone human deep in the New Mexico desert? Perhaps the sergeant stumbled upon something he wasn't meant to see in that endless, arid expanse. Ancient cultures believed deserts and wastelands were liminal places, thresholds to other dimensions and influences invisible under the sun. There is much we cannot explain about our universe and reality itself. What we perceive with our limited senses could be but a fraction of what lurks beyond. If we were confronted with interdimensional travelers, would we even comprehend they were not fellow beings of flesh and blood? As we leave the white sands and close the book on this terrifying encounter, more and more questions remain. We likely will never know specifics of what transpired at White Sands in 1956, but new technologies are constantly expanding our cosmic horizons each passing year, cracking open realities we long considered impossible or supernatural. What we discern as magic and horror could merely reflect our infant grasp of an astonishing greater cosmos. This has been Snatched, Cosmic Encounters. I'm Johnny Lama. Stay tuned for our next metaphysical mystery sane people dare not confront. Until next time, watch the skies, pondering what watches back from above, and pray you don't get snatched.